This is Popular Front, a podcast focused on the niche details of modern warfare and underreported conflict with me, Jake Hanrahan. Today we're speaking to journalist Justin Yao. He's on the ground in Kyiv. He's been there since the start of the Russian invasion a week ago. He's going to tell us what the situation is like on the ground there, how the battle is progressing, how civilians are trying to cope with it, all of that. Thank you to everyone who has been supporting and sharing Popular Front. We're trying to keep ahead of this conflict and report on what's going on. If you like what we're doing, please do consider supporting us at patreon.com/popularfront. The more we make there, the more we can do our job. Alternatively, you can support us at popularfront.co/support. So you're in Kyiv right now. You've been there since the start of the invasion. Maybe just give us a recap of what you've seen in this last 6 days.
So starting from the invasion, I think all of us were very shocked that, it actually happened. A lot of us, saw the signs, but no one, especially like Ukrainians on ground, could really believe that such a thing could happen. And the only way I could describe it is I woke up on a different planet almost. Everything changed. We left Bakhmut, went through Kharkiv, and we documented a Smersh missile strike that hit, the courtyard of an apartment complex that I believe injured over a dozen people and killed 2. And since then, we've been covering what's going on in Kyiv, and it's honestly night and day from last week and now. I remember when I first arrived, I was taking photos of, people buying flowers for their loved ones on Valentine's Day, and now the streets are absolutely empty. There are people with guns, territorial defense forces, police, Ukrainian army. There are checkpoints everywhere. It's a really tense situation. The streets are empty. A lot of gas stations have closed because they've just run out of gas to give. People throughout, Kyiv are joining territorial defense. They are building Czech-style hedgehog tank traps from, by welding together scrap metal. They are, making petrol bombs that they're calling, Bandera cocktails or Bandera smoothies. And they're all just bracing for, I think, and the inevitability that the Russians will arrive and there will be combat in the city.
For anyone that doesn't know, maybe just explain to us what the territorial defense units are.
So the territorial defense unit is an initiative, I believe, created by the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense and Ministry of Internal Affairs, and they are a all-volunteer militia-style fighting force. And pretty much every city kind of has one, and it's intended for civilians to join up. They'll sign up and they'll get a rifle and they will be given, duties to protect the city, whether it be manning checkpoints, being lookouts, or manning defensive positions on the outskirts of the city.
Yeah.
In this case, Kyiv.
Right. And how active are those right now in Kyiv?
More and more. I think the day after the invasion was the first time I saw them in force, and they were and they were patrolling the streets, and it was a hodgepodge of different organizations. A lot of them were territorial defense. They were wearing the territorial defense patch with there's a castle with a lightning and an arrow. But there were also other militia groups. I remember running into a group called Legions Svoboda, which means Freedom Legion, I think. And then there's I've seen people. Some people just won't tell me. They don't want to talk to me. They won't let me photograph or film. I've seen people wear OUN patches. I believe that's the Organization of Ukrainian Nationalists. I've seen right sector patches as well on some of these guys. So honestly, it's a hodgepodge. But territorial defense in itself is also it's officially a branch of the government, as opposed to like more autonomous militia.
Right, it's like it's a paramilitary movement basically of armed citizens.
Yeah, absolutely.
In terms of the battle, what kind of stuff are you seeing? What are you experiencing out there?
So shelling, it's getting more intense, I think. Every night there would be shelling, and you'd hear the explosions in the distance. You'd hear the air raid sirens going off, and it's just reminiscent of the World War II London Blitz. Scenes from movies I've seen. Sorry, can you give me that question again? I just lost my train of thought though.
No, you're right, man. I can tell you're tired. I was just saying, like, what have you seen? Like the battle, like what level is it at? What have you experienced?
It's like almost like a perpetual brinkmanship. Everyone knows that this battle, everyone believes that this battle is coming. There are more and more checkpoints, more and more barricades, more and more tank traps, more and more sandbags, more and more, men with guns stopping you, searching your vehicle. And there are sporadic gun battles in the streets, and everyone is paranoid about, the rumors and ideas of Russian saboteurs and assassins and spies in the city and reconnaissance groups, which is very real. It's been proven, people have been caught, but everyone's is very very on edge, very paranoid, and these militia guys, they're not professional soldiers. Some of them have had weekend trainings building up to this, but a lot of them are brand new at this. They're IT professionals, they're bakers, they're roofing contractors. I've met people of all walks of life just pick up guns and become soldiers. So that's the downfall of, I think, militarizing your population so suddenly and so quickly, is that you'd have people not completely knowing what they're doing out in the streets with guns.
Right, and there's been some examples of that, right? I know there's been a few like accidental kind of friendly fires, like accidentally shooting each other from suspicion of Russian agents and what have you.
Yeah. Yes. I think the Ukrainian government has come out and admitted this, that there have been friendly fire incidents, and that's why there was a curfew. I think yes. 2 nights ago, I believe, there was a curfew where the entire Sunday nobody was allowed to leave their house, and anybody seen outside without the proper accreditation or permission from the government would be treated as enemy reconnaissance groups or enemy saboteurs.
Explain to us, like, how is it now? Like, so there's a certain time where the curfew starts. You have to be in. What do? You go to the bunker? Like what?
So right now the curfew starts at 8 p.m. and it ends at 8 a.m. essentially, I believe. And most people will go to the subway stations. Kyiv has a pretty extensive metro system. There's a subway stop at pretty much every neighborhood in the city of Kyiv. So a lot of people have been using the subway stations, which were built as bomb shelters to begin with. And some people have their own, bunkers under their apartment buildings and such. And some people just don't care. They just want to live at home. I'm staying in an Airbnb where my neighbor has, a sick elderly mother who she doesn't want, she can't move very well. So they're choosing to live in their flat, their apartment. Yeah. And, if you open the window, you would hear, shelling in the distance, the clatter of gunfire in the distance and things like that.
So how close? The other night they were saying Kyiv is surrounded. I think Klitschko, the mayor, said it, and then he said, no, I misspoke. And by all accounts, it does look like actually they weren't completely surrounded at that stage, because that was like 24 hours ago, and the city hasn't been taken. What's going on now? Do you have any kind of perception of where the Russian troops are around Kyiv right now?
So I've been staying up to date with the help of my local fixer who's keeping an eye on local chatter. I've been using Live UA Map a lot, as well as Twitter. And as far as I know, the main Russian force north of the city is in the town of Ostomal, or just north of the town of Ostomal, where the Battle of the Antonov airfield took place. And if you look at the Live UA Map now, you can see that some Russian forces are moving south and southwest in an effort to, I think, achieve a partial or complete encirclement of the city by bypassing the city itself and just going south of it on both sides of the Dnieper River. As of now, the city is not completely encircled, to my knowledge, but I believe it is the Russian military's plan to do that.
Do you think you'll see like fighting come straight into the center? Like, I mean, as far as the Maidan, like, do you think that's possible?
I'm not a military expert, so I don't know. But looking at post-Soviet Russian military doctrine in terms of what happened in the Chechen Wars, what happened in Grozny specifically, and the things that happened in Georgia in 2006 and 2008, and what happened in Crimea. I think that's a very distinct possibility that the Russians will try to use physical military force to move into the city, to clear out any resistance and overrun the defense of the city. After saturating it with indirect fire, whether it be Smersh missiles, artillery, rockets, airstrikes, and such.
Right, and the Russians are hitting the city pretty much every night, right, with rocket fire.
Yes, so I can't confirm whether or not it's rocket, missile, or anything. But yeah, pretty much every night since the invasion, the next morning there would be buildings, apartment buildings, or different facilities hit. Just today, the Kyiv TV tower was hit by, I believe, a rocket or a missile, and it's taken out TV coverage and TV signal throughout the city.
It's pretty close.
It definitely is. It definitely is, and I think the shelling will only intensify as things go. And I mean, I hate to use what's happening in Kharkiv as an example, but the Russians are having trouble taking the city, and the targeting of civilian and civil infrastructure is steadily increasing. We saw the Grad rocket strike in the city center. We saw the targeted missile strike of the administration building in the city of Kharkiv. And I fear, and I really hope it won't happen, but I fear that that's a distinct possibility for the city of Kyiv as well.
Right. What's the situation with food? Like, I heard that it's, there's less food than there was. I have a friend that's working there. He said, like, they're struggling to find food, that sort of thing. Have you noticed that setting in yet?
Absolutely. Every day there are lines outside supermarkets, lines that wrap around the block, lines sometimes several hundred meters long of people lining up to buy food. There are lines outside gas stations, and the gas station that I was in today to refuel, they ran out of what they call benzene, gasoline, and they only had diesel left. So there's, the shortage is happening. Shelves are no longer as fully stocked as before. I buy water and shelf stable goods whenever possible, but and usually from smaller stores, so the lines are not as long. And at gas stations, whenever I can, we would buy just packeted foods, candies, nuts, chips, things like that. But there's definitely a food shortage, and there's definitely people, kind of feeling the pinch, so to speak.
Right. In terms of community, support, community defense, obviously there's the territorial defense, but have you seen anything else, like people coming together to work out how to kind of get through this? I've seen quite a lot of stuff on Twitter, but, I don't know how prevalent it is out there on the ground.
Yeah. So I went to a workshop, yesterday to cover a group of people building tank traps, these Czech-style hedgehog tank traps, to be, used as a defense of the city. And I think they were all part of this stage building crew, and they were all avid, fixie bike cyclists.
Right.
So it's kind of like, heartwarming in a sense to see friends who are in the same community kind of come together in a time of war to try to defend their own city.
Yeah.
And the same, there are people building, cutting cloth and building, making camouflage netting for territorial defense in the army. And there are people in basements, making Molotov cocktails and collecting bottles, and it's kind of heartwarming. At the same time, it's so bleak and so sad.
Yeah.
These people come together, but to do these things, and in front of you, they'll show that they have high spirits, they're happy, they're having a grand old time. But I think in the back of their minds, they know that the situation is ultimately just going to get worse and worse and worse, as the days go on.
Are you not worried that, my fear is that Russia is just going to start, maybe not carpet bombing, but they're just going to keep, we've already seen them, they've been hitting loads of civilian targets already. Do you worry that they're just going to start bombing everywhere in the city? Yes,
especially like from what happened in Kharkiv today and yesterday. Yeah. That fear is very much, on top of my head. I think about it every day, but I take all necessary precautions. I'm with a very good team of, 2 other photojournalists, and we're very careful about everything. And at some point, you have to say, either I worry about this or I can focus on my job and focus on keeping my friends and myself safe and effectively cover this situation.
At what point do you think it's going to be too much? Like, that's it, you're ready to go, you got to get out?
I think it depends on the encirclement.
Right.
For me, as of now, we feel like we have enough food and fuel and a safe route out of the city. And I think once that window starts to shrink, I think we will leave. We do have a plan of where we want to go and where we want to be if that does happen. But this situation is so fluid. It is always changing, so it's hard to anticipate and hard to plan for.
Yeah. All right, mate. I won't keep you long. I know it's a very hard environment to work in. Is there anything you want people to know before we go?
I think, this war, it's the 6th day of the war, right? Or the 5th or the 6th day of the war. And it's got a lot of press coverage. And that's great. War is absolutely terrible. The human cost of war can never, almost never justify, war, the war happening, especially in this case. But I kind of want to, remind people that they're listening, war is happening everywhere right now, not just in Ukraine. The people in Myanmar are at war. There's fighting in Syria and in the Middle East. The region in Tigray has been in civil war for so long now, and it's not been reported. So I just want to remind everyone listening that, it is everywhere. It's just not being televised.
Yeah. That is another topic that a lot of people are talking about, but it's, it's a war in the middle of Europe. It's not surprising that, a lot of people report on it, but it's just a fucking shame that other conflicts don't get the same amount of attention, which is, something we've been trying to change a lot with Popular Front, but, it is the way it is. If people want to get hold of you, follow your reporting on social media or wherever, where can they do that?
Yeah, I'm currently most active on Instagram right now.
Yep.
That's my ad is Justin N Yao, JUSTINNYAU.
Mhm.
And my Twitter, I try to post whenever possible, is at PDocumentarians, at PDOCUMENTARIANS.
Justin, thank you so much for your time and good luck out there, mate, and stay safe. If you need anything, give us a shout, yeah?
It will do. Thank you so much.
That was Justin Yao talking to us from the ground in Kyiv, explaining what's happening with the ongoing battle there after Russia invaded Ukraine a week ago. Justin is still out there. Definitely hit him up on social media. Support him in any way you can. He's an independent journalist. Right now, there are a lot of big legacy mainstream media reporters out there. Fair play, good luck to them. But they are hogging a lot of the resources because obviously they have a lot more money. So for independent journalists like Justin Yao and many others, it's a lot harder. So if you can, go to his social media. The least you can do is share his reporting on his Instagram, his Twitter, everything like that. He just mentioned them there at the end. He even spelled them out, so there's no excuse not to do it. It's the very least people can do, I think, for independent reporters out there risking their lives to report on the war in Ukraine. If you like what we're doing here at Popular Front, please do consider supporting us at patreon.com/popularfront. There's a lot more extra content there. Our new documentary is out very soon, and there will be a lot more Patreon-only video content from that goes up there as well. Patreon.com/popularfront. If you want to support us in a different way, a one-time donation or cryptocurrency donation, you can go to popularfront.co/support. All the details are there. Thank you very much to our sponsors. They are Oracle Coffee Shop in Portland, Oregon, USA. They're an independent coffee business selling only fair trade products. See them at 3875 Southwest Bond Avenue, 97239. Very happy to have them here on Popular Front. Our other sponsor, Grindcore House, a pair of independent coffee shops in Philadelphia, USA. One in South, one in West. Find them on socials at Grindcore House. Shout out to them. They contacted me recently. Very supportive. They know that we're trying to go back to Ukraine. They know we just got back from Ukraine, and they're being very supportive. So I really do appreciate the kind of working relationship we've got with all these people. Also, thank you to our sponsor, Propagandopolis, an outlet selling and writing about historical conflict propaganda from around the world. By prints at propagandopolis.com. That's PROPAGAND, propaganda. PROPAGANDOPOLIS, propagandopolis.com. Use the promo code POPULARFRONT10 for 10% off. We're going to be doing a lot more work with Propagandopolis this year. Thank you to everyone that's following us and subscribing on the YouTube. We just hit 100,000 subscribers on the YouTube, youtube.com/popularfront. Team YouTube, please send me that plaque. There's been no communication that the plaque is coming yet. I do want that fucking plaque, but yeah, hopefully it's coming. youtube.com/popularfront. Our documentaries are all up there. We have something coming from Ukraine very soon. We were there, I think we left 2 days before the invasion. So yeah, we've got basically a documentary that shows the kind of build up to that, and the citizen militias that were training and are now actually taking part in the fight against Russia. I think it will be an interesting one. I know we're not there right now, apologies, but we are trying to go back. We're trying to work out the safest way possible with the little money that we do have to do something like that, but hopefully, you know, we'll make it work somehow. If you want to follow us on social medias, on Twitter it's at popularfront_, Instagram at popular.front, and my personals is at Jake_Hanrahan, HANRAHAN. You can see my previous work and all of my work basically at jakehanrahan.com. Music in this episode, the intro was by Home, and the outro as always was by the excellent Sam Black, part of the Popular Front team from day one. You can hear his music at samblackpf.com. Thank you very much to the high tier patrons. You lot have really kept us going and helped us continue reporting non-stop whilst this conflict rages. They are Matthew Diffley, Matthew Mendoza, Noah Schmidt, Lisa, Jane Milichip, Claire, Liana, Gavin Thornton, Sean, Krishnovich, NTHG845829, please change your name to something, Ethan Zwick, Champagne Anarchist, Thwat, Elise Middlefart, David McManus, Joaquim Williamson Holt, Udoye Travis, Tom Petrie, James Leons, Kate Lisa Milgram, Bradley Davies, Brendan Crave, B, Drift, Pete Hesher, RX, Travis Lieberman, Cherry, Ben Marshall, Dallas Dunn, LD50 Seattle, K Glitter Vulcan, Meredith Waters, Bethany Swoveland, Derivative Fall, Karante, Bjorn Kirsten, Diamondstein, Michael O'Connor, Zach Picard, Todd Cravens, TFD, Nicholas Butter, Jav, Ian Froese, James Cully, Tynan Daly, Ethan, Shanklin the Painter, Fitz Madrid, Ed Coulthard, Mike Barone, Ben, Liam Williams, Wizard of Woz, Chris Cusimano, Degenerate Zero Alpha, Giorgio Arani, DR, Trey Nance, Amy R, Rubicon, Frank Austin, Amelia Me, Nawaiz, Nate Van Dor, Christina Rivetti, Freya Northman, Noah, Andrew Hurley, Vida Provost, Brian McLaughlin, Tom Lochrin, Young Wasabi, Tony Bin, Adam Bergsnyder, JL, Stephen Davila, Anthony Kabarik, Dan Dunham, Fletcher Tate, Diana Gorvanek, Lawrence Abrahams, Peter McCormick from What Bitcoin Did, Chester Watts, Christopher Martin, and Moritz Zumbul. Thank you all so much. Really appreciate the support. I know that, there's many differing opinions on the war in Ukraine, but we are trying to give you the most kind of dialed in, nuanced, accurate situation. I have been to Ukraine, I think almost 10 times, every time reporting on various places there, frontline, Kyiv, even Chernobyl, and we're trying to do our best. I think people have noticed that. We've acknowledged there's a serious neo-Nazi presence in the country and it's a fucking nightmare. We've acknowledged that NATO is kind of acting kind of crazy at times, definitely, and we don't support them, even though people are calling the CIA for reporting on this war. Cool, who gives a fuck, that's the internet. But ultimately, a sovereign country has been invaded by what is a clearly authoritarian state, and it's clear cut, internet squabbles don't mean shit on the front line. So anyway, thank you to everybody that has been supporting us, really do appreciate it. Patreon.com/popularfront.